it out loud. Wow. That would have been fun to see, actually.
So if you ever hear that,
I'll know what's going on. Okay.
Good morning. So beautiful outside today, isn't it? Welcome to those here in the sanctuary and online. I am Laura Shennum, Minister of Congregational Life here at First Unitarian Universalist Society of San Francisco, and I'm joined on the chancel today by our graduating high school seniors, Davia, Ferree, and Lucas Keeley, as well as the ever-moving Reverend Vanessa Rush Southern. In addition, we will have several youth participating in this service. Eli Boshears will lead the chalice lighting. Anakin Gupta will provide beautiful music. Oriana Joss Morin and Kenley Gupta will be telling our story. Hannah Murray and Sammy Alden will be sharing their experience in crossing paths this year. And we will hear from an adult who is young at heart, Max Dubler. We are supported in our morning by our many volunteers and staff who provide our presence online, create beautiful music, greet people, bring flowers, keep our spaces beautiful, and care for our children and youth. Gratitude to all who make our spaces beautiful and available to us each Sunday morning. If you are joining us and you're new today, I hope you got an order of service. You are able to grab that link as well online in the description of the order of service. This will help you follow along in our service as well as provide events or ways for you to connect further into the congregation. In addition, towards the back, there are tips to help answer questions you may have. And of course, any additional questions you may have, look for somebody with an official name tag and they will either be able to answer that question or point you to somebody who can. We also have someone monitoring the chat, so if you have any questions, they are there to provide answers too. Our monthly theme is the practice of imagination, and how fitting to start the month off with our annual youth service. We will be exploring through the lens of Dr. Seuss, not only the places you can go, but all the possibilities that are available to us. So I invite you to bring the fullness of your heart to this hour together, and let us worship.
Please join me in saying the words of our unison chalice lighting. We light this chalice for the light of truth, the warmth of love, and the fire of commitment. We light this symbol of our faith as we gather together.
Please rise and body our spirit for our opening hymn, number 298. Wake now our senses. Wake now my senses. I need to wake up my senses. you sit down, I invite you to greet one another. Look for those that you may not have seen for a while or those that are new faces online. Feel free to join in the greeting of each other as well. All right, let's come back together to hear our story. Go ahead.
Congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself in any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know. And you are the guy who will decide where to go.
You look up and down streets, look 'em over with care. About some you will say, I don't choose to go there. With your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any not-so-good street. And you may not find any you'll want to go down. In that case, of course, you'll head straight out of town.
It's opener there. It's the wide open air. Out there things can happen, and frequently do, to people as brainy and footsy as you. And when things start to happen, don't worry, don't stew. Just go right along, you'll start happening too.
Oh, the places you'll go. You'll be on your way up. You'll be seeing great sights. You'll join the high flyers who soar to great heights. You won't lag behind because you'll have the speed. You'll pass the whole gang and you'll soon take the lead. Wherever you fly, you'll be the best of the best. Wherever you go, you'll top all the rest.
Except when you don't, because sometimes you won't. I'm sorry to say so, but sadly it's true, that bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you. You can get all hung up in a prickly perch, and your gang will fly on. You'll be left in a lurch.
You'll come down from the lurch with an unpleasant bump, and the chances are then that you'll be in a slump. And when you're in a slump, you're not in for much fun. Unslumping yourself is not easily done.
You'll come to a place where the streets are not marked. Some windows are lightened, but mostly they are dark. A place you could sprain both your elbow and your chin. Do you dare to stay out? Do you dare to go in? How much can you lose? How much can you win? And if you go in, should you turn left or right and 3/4, or maybe not quite, or go around back and sneak in from behind? Simple it's not, I'm afraid you will find, for a mind maker upper to make up his mind.
You can get so confused that you'll start in to race down long wiggled rocks at a breaknecking pace and grind on for miles across weirdish wild space, headed, I fear, toward a most useless place, the waiting place, for people just waiting for a train to go or a bus to come, or a plane to go, or the mail to come, or the rain to go, or the phone to ring, or the snow to snow, or waiting around for a yes or no, or waiting for their hair to grow. Everyone is just waiting.
Waiting for the fish to bite, or waiting for the wind to fly a kite, or waiting around for Friday night, or waiting, perhaps, for their Uncle Jake, or a pot to boil, or a better break, or a string of pearls, or a pair of pants, or a wig with curls, or another chance. Everyone is just waiting. Oh, no, that's not for you.
Somehow you'll escape all that waiting and staying. You'll find the bright places where the boom bands are playing. With banner flip-flapping, once more you'll ride high, ready for anything under the sky. Ready because you're that kind of a guy. Oh, the places you'll go. There is fun to be done. There are points to be scored. There are games to be won. And the magical things you can do with that ball will make you the winningest winner of all. Fame. You'll be famous as famous can be, with the whole wide world watching you win on TV.
Except when they don't, because sometimes they won't. I'm afraid that sometimes you'll play lonely games too. Games you can't win, 'cause you'll play against you. All alone, whether you like it or not. Alone will be something, you'll be quite a lot.
And when you're alone, there's a very good chance you'll meet things that scare you right out of your pants. There are some down the road between hither and yon that can scare you so much you won't want to go on. But on you will go, though the weather be foul. On you will go, though your enemies prowl. On you will go, though the hack and cracks howl. Onward up many a frightening creek, though your arms may get sore and your sneakers may leak.
On and on you will hike, and I know you'll hike far and face up to your problems, whatever they are. You'll get mixed up, of course, as you already know. You'll get mixed up with many strange birds as you go. So be sure when you step with care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act. Just never forget to be dexterous and deft. Never mix up your right foot with your left.
And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. Kid, you'll move mountains. So, be your name Buxbaum or Bixby or Bray, or Mordecai Ali Van Allen O'Shea, you're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way.
Please join me in the words of our Unison Covenant. These are some of the promises that we make together in this community that bind us, and hopefully promises we take out into the larger world in the way we live with others beyond these walls. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help one another.
I want to invite Hannah and Sammy up. And as they're coming up, I want to let you know what our junior high and our high school class did this year. Our junior high class visited multi-different faiths, and their teachers were Erica Murray, Amy Alden, Simi Cover, and Courtney Young Love. And they're going to tell you a little bit about that. Our high school seniors were led by Diana Bacon, Sam King, and Helen, whose last name is escaping me right now, but I love you, Helen, and thank you for all the work you did, as well as Tad Hop. They led our high school youth on a journey of learning through different beliefs of what they wanted to believe and how to define those. And so I'll turn it over to Sammy and Hannah.
Good morning. We were in a middle school Sunday school class this year called Crossing Paths.
Some of you may know this as neighboring faiths.
The purpose of this class was to expose us to different faith traditions and ways of experiencing religion.
Each month, we learned about a different religion. The teachers taught us about that faith.
Then, another week that month, we went to a place in San Francisco that practiced that faith and experienced their service.
We got to compare and contrast a lot of different religious traditions and be a part of how they celebrate those traditions. The first church we visited was Glide Memorial, which used to be a part of the Methodist Church, but no longer identifies with any Christian denomination in order to be more accepting of all people, like UU is. However, they were also different from UU in a couple ways, most notably their songs. They loved to sing very loud and happy songs that had everybody clapping along.
Then we got to learn about paganism and Judaism. We went to a service at a temple that's in the Mission and is specifically geared towards people who are LGBTQIA. I thought this one was really cool because it had a lot of singing and because my dad is Jewish, so I got to see what it might have been like for him to go to temple.
After that, we learned about Hinduism, and we went to the Asian Art Museum to see artifacts and learn more about how they worshipped gods. This one was especially interesting because we got to go a lot more in depth about the history of their religion and see ancient artifacts preserved in the museum. Although they have their own pantheon of gods, they welcome other religions and incorporate them into their own beliefs. My favorite god was the remover of obstacles, Ganesh, who has an elephant head.
We also went to the Purple Church, also called Her Church, the one on Portola that's painted bright purple that is Lutheran, but has created its own feminist service.
They have a really cool door of possibilities that you can walk through that can make you feel hopeful. Finally, we learned about Quakerism and went to their meeting house for a service where we sat in silence for an entire hour. It was a little boring, but many people enjoyed it.
We didn't get to learn about or experience all of the major religions, but we did get to explore other faiths outside our own, deepening our knowledge of belief systems. And lastly, we'd like to thank our teachers, Ami, Erica, Courtney, and Simi. Thank you for teaching our class this year.
Each year when we do our youth service, I ask our graduating seniors who they would like to have the offering go to. And this year, we have the seniors picked an organization that we've already honored this year, but they wanted to honor it again. And this morning's offering will go to the benefit the Period Inc., a 501c3 nonprofit organization that largely led by youth and strives to eradicate period poverty and stigma around menstruation through advocacy, education, and service. And Oriana talked to us about that a few months ago, if you remember that. Our offering will now be collected and gratefully received. I invite you into a time of meditation. Settle into your seats. Plant your feet firmly on the ground. Take a deep breath in and out. Let your bodies settle. If you so choose and feel safe to do so, then close your eyes. Let us turn inward. Feel the rhythm of the breath in and out, in and out. Find the peace of just being with the flow of the breath, letting go of yesterday and tomorrow. Feel the restorative power of the peace of this moment. a peace large enough to open to the concerns and sorrows that trouble us, a stillness quiet enough to respond to the joys and celebrations that enliven us. There is safety here in the rhythm of the breath. The ebb and flow of life is enacted with each one. May we each return to our breath when we are in need of peace, stillness, safety, and connection to the ebb and flow of life. May we be reminded all are worthy of this groundedness and strive to provide that space for all. As we tune into that still small voice in each of us and listen to what it needs at this time in our lives, this is also a time to honor the memory of a loved one who you may have lost or whose presence is deeply felt. We invite you to stand or place your hand on your heart as a silent witness to that loss. This world doesn't always make space to acknowledge and hold those losses, but they are so present to us. Let us witness.
Hi, good morning. My name is Max Dubler. Many of you may know my lovely husband, Carl Cade. While I'm not a member here, I come to you from a rival theological sect, the Quakers. I could not turn down this opportunity and invitation to come here and talk about my favorite subject, which is myself. I graduated from college in 2009, and with the world economy imploding, I found myself with a liberal arts degree, marginal career prospects, and no plans beyond moving out of my dorm room. Faced with that situation, I did what any reasonable person would do. I moved to Los Angeles to live on a couch and skateboard down mountains. The plan was to influence the emerging downhill skateboarding subculture through photography and writing. I assumed that this was an unreasonable goal and that I would go find a real career after about a year or so. To my surprise and my parents' deep disappointment, the downhill skateboarding thing worked out. And I found work as a photographer, writer, videographer, and pro writer. I brought my values to that work, becoming the first openly gay pro skateboarder, and using my influence to lift up people who had been historically excluded from a very bro-dominated subculture and industry. After some years of traveling the world and seeing how regional variations in topography, geology, and landscape architecture shaped local skateboarding communities, I realized that my pro model board royalties were not enough to pay for the first aid supplies that I was going through to treat my road rash. As such, I started looking around for something else to do with myself. Over those years, I had watched as a bunch of friends of mine had moved away or embraced van life in order to escape Los Angeles' high rents. It occurred to me that middle-class people with office jobs choosing vehicular homelessness was somewhat unusual, even among skateboard dirtbags, and that the structural forces that had produced the roads, drainage ditches, parking lots, and plazas that we were skating in might have had something to do with why housing costs so much and why so many of my friends had to move out of state. I wanted to do something about that, and so I retired from extreme standing and enrolled in urban planning graduate school. The plan was to go into public service and use my position as an unaccountable bureaucrat to approve more homes. Instead, I wound up in advocacy, writing legislation to make it easier to build in-law units. This work is similarly guided by my values. San Francisco cannot claim to be a beacon of freedom and liberation while refusing to build homes for newcomers. Welcoming the stranger means being okay with change in your neighborhood to give that stranger somewhere to live. All of this is to say that it's fine to be unsure of what to do with yourself at any age. I did not become the retired cool person and moderately successful nonprofit policy professional who stands before you today by carefully plotting out my career years in advance. Rather, I've been kind of winging this whole adulthood thing for a while, and I've had some pretty good time just by looking for ways to make myself useful in the communities that I care about and on behalf of causes that matter to me. And you guys can do this too. Just do whatever, it's fine. Thank you.
I have always wanted to be a magician. I think it's because as a child, I was on an endless diet of fantasy novels and compendiums. I loved the Land of Oz's eclectic cast of beings, Roald Dahl's tricksiness, Andrew Lang's fairy tales, the Daulaire's illustrated myths. I didn't read fantasy to escape the real world, but to bring magic into it. There were lunch times I spent staring with desperate concentration at apples and pencils, daring them to move with all of my will until I got tunnel vision and a headache. Once I was home, an unsuspecting passerby glancing into our driveway would have seen me spinning a broomstick, my magic wand, and hoping that some goblins would come popping out of the shadows for me to thwart. When I started learning my first instrument, the violin, I came to prefer humming the pieces while whisking myself through enchanted woods to the practicing itself. The lessons became stifling. I would yearn to get in the car and read my way home. Later, I tried starting from scratch on piano. For years, the story was just the same. The years spent at home during the pandemic, I only went deeper into my head. There was nothing to do but tell myself stories of secret sorcery societies and lost artifacts. But when I returned to campus at the end of 8th grade, the lights came up, and it was time to trade the imagined worlds of the past for the promise of high school. Suddenly, there were auditions and training and opportunities on the horizon, and it was exciting, sure. But it came with a cold shock, which sank into certainty as the time for reading and daydreaming dwindled away. It was time, I knew, to give up on magic. I was coming to terms with this realization when I watched Richard Linklater's coming-of-age epic, Boyhood. And there's a scene where the boy asks his father if there's any real magic in the world, elves and stuff. Rather than elves, the father says, think of a whale, something that speaks in sonar and sings songs, something so big that its heart was the size of a car and you could crawl through the arteries. That's pretty magical. Struck by that line, I started wondering if maybe not that much had changed since the days yearning for supernatural abilities. I first started seeing the magic again while practicing jazz piano. I had just had the chance to improvise with some professionals, but quickly realized I was in way over my head. Those alchemists were brewing something far beyond my abilities. It was a mortifying moment, but soon after, the chore of practicing was transfigured into something new, uncovering jazz musicians' magical shared intuition. I've learned how to join a jam at the drop of a hat, read minds, respond to the call of rhythm and phrase, and there are still so many magical musical powers left to discover. Soon I started recognizing the magic in everything I do, shape-shifting on stage, like in Footloose, and I played a man 30 years my senior, burdened by pains I had never known. Some audience members told me that they'd hated the severe old man on stage and had to remind themselves that I was in high school. Others said I'd brought them to tears. Commanding a marching band with incantations of left face and mark time, surely that is nothing short of wizardry. Now I spin a mace in a stadium, and it's just as magical as that broomstick in my driveway. In calculus, performing miracles with every pencil scratch, harnessing the beast of infinity to my will. I went to Kyrgyzstan and shared stories and made people laugh across the language barrier, teaching my first grade Sunday school class and relearning childhood wisdom. The quest for magic is only just beginning. I'm ready to cast the next spell. Thank you.
My name is Davia, and I've been a part of this community for about 12 to 13 years now. I was recently diagnosed with autism, and to you, I write this essay, I would like to share this essay with the community who supported me so much with my different ways of learning, communicating, and more. Yes, I have trouble focusing on tests when the noise of the outside world can be too much to bear. Yes, I tap my hands and my feet as if there's only music that I can hear. But the rhythm helps me think, and the sound can be like music if you try hard enough. Am I really that different because I speak my mind? Because I have stars in my eyes instead of words, equations, and letters? In sounds? Maybe I speak in words that flow like rivers of thought, rather than your insignificant bulleted lists. Every time you change my hymns into lists, I listened. I mimicked what my teachers wrote, word for word, and then I began to write, not just in my fantastical tone, but also formal and academic, even bullet points. But once I did, I did not lose my style. When the noise became too much, I would tap out the rhythm to solve for x, then y, then f of x, and then pass to the stars. I would marvel at the ancient civilizations, take their learnings and redraw their plans until they made sense to me. I taught myself to learn by observing my teachers' methods and rephrasing them just for myself. While teaching elementary school children last summer, I realized that each student in their own way or another struggled to learn. Oftentimes, it was not the subject they struggled in, but instead the way it was taught. Like myself, they struggled, but unlike myself, they didn't have the skills to learn a new path to the answer. So I showed them the thousands of answers. My teacher once told me to cry him a river, build a bridge, and get over it. So I cried him a river of thoughts. I built thousands of paths, bridges, and cities, and I taught my students how to walk over them and build more and rebuild those bridges in ways that suit them. Thank you.
I also wanted to make sure that you realize that Davia created the cover of our order of service today.
But it's not.
No, it's not. This morning we've heard about so many different possibilities of what a future can hold. I want to share one more story with you, and that is the story of my own journey through young adulthood. After I graduated from high school, I was set to study pre-med at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. I joked that this path was my path until I took organic chemistry, and that is what took me out. But actually, it was a dream that was not mine. It really wasn't mine. It was my parents and my grandparents that dreamed that I would be a doctor. And Nebraska really wasn't where my spirit could thrive. I wanted to return to California, where I grew up until I was a teenager. And so I did. I moved to California and I became a nanny and then a preschool teacher. In order to keep my job as a preschool teacher, I had to take early childhood education units, which I did at the community college. And the last semester of my AA degree in early childhood education, I took a class on Intro to Anthropology and fell in love with anthropology. So then I went to Mills College and got a bachelor's degree in anthropology and sociology. And then I went to Nebraska again to pursue a master's degree in applied anthropology, where you took the research of anthropology and applied it to real-world problems. And during that program, I had this wonderful applied anthropologist professor that I just adored. Unfortunately, one of the other professors decided that he didn't want to go along with the new law that meant that you needed to return the Native American remains to the Native American people and instead burned them and spread them around the campus. And so during that controversy, I was in one of his classrooms when he said, I need somebody to call 911 and be able to block the door if anybody comes for me. And I said, nope, I'm out, and left the program. They also fired the applied anthropology professor. So then I became a stay-at-home mom for 8 years. Wow, that was a turn, right? So 8 years, and then I got involved in religious education at one of the Unitarian Universalist churches and fell in love with Unitarian Universalism. And next thing I know, I'm off to seminary, and at 40 years old, becoming ordained and a minister and serving my first congregation. So we never know what possibilities come our way. We never know what journey is going to take us. We never know what is going to prepare us on that journey for where we are. Everything I went through, all the skills I built, helped me in ministry today. So now I want to turn to honoring our seniors and those that are getting ready for a new transition in their life.
I'd like to invite our graduating high school seniors forward, Davia Ferree and Lucas Keeley. We have gifts for you to celebrate this transition. You each get a keepsake edition of Dr. Seuss's Oh, the Places You'll Go, and a beautifully crafted wooden box made by Mary Castiglia's son, Chris Castiglia. And who knows what magical things lie inside, or bridge building tools.
As you both step forward, just so you know, there's nothing in it.
And love in them.
They're for you to build with your dreams and hopes and wishes and advice and everything that people can give you. As you step forward in your next chapter, we send you with our fondest wishes.
May life bring you enough challenge to feed your dreams and grow them, enough affirmation to honor your gifts and stoke your confidence in them, and enough nurture to give your spirit peace during the ups and downs of what it means to go these journeys.
Believe in your vision, no matter where your life will lead you, whatever path comes your way. Follow your dreams. They're not only for sleeping. And know always that when you return to us, here you will find hands of friends and fans of you. Congratulations. Let's give them a round of applause. Let's rise and body our spirit to sing our closing hymn, Oh, What a Piece of Work Are We, number 313.
Amen.
Hello, I'm Julia Wald, a member of the Board of Trustees. The trustees always want to hear from you, so do come and find us and talk to us. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, mostly what you like. I'm going to remind you of a few upcoming events. The All-Church Retreat, a wonderful event, is coming up Memorial Day weekend. That's May 24th to 26th. Do come. It's a place where you can enjoy each other in relaxation. And if you're new here, it's a particularly good way to get to know people. I know many years ago that's where I came and got to know people. So do come. Also, this afternoon at 1:30, there's a SQUIPS, it's a good word, Star King Way performance series. The wonderful Rita Lakey will sing, giving us her unique blend of jazz and R&B. So 1:30, come back in here, listen to some music. The Women's Rights Group is meeting next Saturday, May 10th. We're gathering, thinking about what we want to do. We're going to be meeting 10 o'clock, May 10th. You got that? 10:10? Okay. Emma Wakeling now wants to come and talk to you about the newcomers, and she's running right up here. Woohoo!
Hi, everybody. I'm Emma Wakeling. I'm a membership and young adult manager here at UUSF. Just here to invite anybody who is new or newer to our community to the newcomer orientation. We're having after service today at 12:30 in the fireside room. It's just a great chance to meet some of our members, meet other new folks, get to know each other, ask any questions, and just learn a bit about our community as well. So you're very welcomed. I'll be waiting in the gallery to help lead folks to the fireside, so please do join us. Thank you.
We will now extinguish our chalice and hold the love of this community with us. Let us rise and hold hands or touch shoulders. Those of you on the chancel can go down. I will stretch out my hands. May we leave this place knowing we are loved, knowing we are worthy of love, and extend that love to others we meet today and in the days ahead. Rejoice in this day and in the love that it holds. Amen.